That new bounce, new bounce, new bounce. Don't trip on me, don't trip on me, don't trip on me, don't.
All right. Good evening, everybody. We're back at it. We're at Coffee for Your Souls back tonight, episode 11. We have some amazing guests tonight coming from different locations. We're going to introduce them first. Starting off with Willie Harrell, Miami, Florida product, alumnus of the Miami Norland Senior High School. He holds a BS and MBA in accounting, member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. And he currently, when he's not a corporate accountant in Orlando, he's a family man, a coach looking to assist, educate, and learn from the people and life's experiences. So Willie, give a shout out to everybody.
Hey, everybody.
All right.
Welcome aboard.
A second person we got is Mr. Max Duclos from North Miami Beach, alumni of the University of Central Florida with a major in accounting. He's a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. He's an alumnus of Wayne Huizenga College of Business at Nova Southeastern University with his MBA in finance, and currently he's a current stock trader and real estate investor. Give a shout out, Max.
Hello. How y'all doing? Good to be here.
Thank you very much, Mr. And our final person on the panel tonight is Mr. Mike Clark. He's hailing from Woodbridge, VA, my area. He resides currently in Orlando, Florida. He's also alumnus of the University of Central Florida. He got his MBA from Nova Southeastern University as well. He's a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and he's a full-time aviation software consultant and a part-time stock market coach. Give a shout out, Mr. Mike.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. So as you know, this is Coffee for Your Soul. You got me, Mr. Snake Eyes, right here. We got my brother, Mr. Max Magus. Mr. Black Maxim tonight. We have Avalanche, and he'll be here shortly. He had a little family situation. He'll be here really shortly. So we'll kind of get it started tonight. So tonight's discussion is we're going to be talking about the finance. We're going to talk about what's going on in the world right now from an African American perspective and the real facts. And to kind of start off, thank you to our guests for joining tonight. And I'm going to start off with this foundation, and we're going to go from here. And I'm going to read this. So, right now, Black families are more confident about achieving the American dream than the general population. However, African Americans fall short on executing life-changing measures such as accumulating wealth, being better prepared for retirement, and building up their savings. Some recent facts that just came out: close to 84% believe that the American dream means financial security, 78% is not living paycheck to paycheck, and 77% is owning a home. On another study done by Mass Mutual in 2019, it identified that African Americans don't have tangible assets needed to make these goals happen. So tonight's episode, the financial edition, is going to talk about how we, as brothers in the community, can try to help African Americans get on the right path to financial independence. So that's where we're going to start tonight, and we're going to have a lot of great discussions. We got some great people on the show, and I'm going to throw it out first to Mr. Mike Clark. What is your thoughts about some of those stats, my brother? What do you feel? What do you think that we need to do as a community to kind of get people up to that speed?
Sure, man. Thanks. So I think the biggest thing for us, and we may hear this all the time, is we've been set back just as a people, as a whole, as African American people. And it's not to say that that's an excuse for why we can't get ahead, but we have to acknowledge that first and foremost. Having coming from behind, 400 years from behind, where our white brothers and sisters, they've had wealth to pass down throughout the generations, and we just didn't have that. Up until recent years, I'd say probably this really prominently the second half of the 20th century, we really started as Black people doing our thing, right? So I think that's a big reason why. It's just we just don't have that knowledge ingrained in us. Our grandparents, our parents may not necessarily have known about all those tools, and so when we come around, we don't learn about those things, right? And they don't necessarily teach them in school unless you really, really go digging for it. So I think that's a big reason why we're in the situation we are now. Miseducation or lack of education, as well as just being set back. Really, we got a lot of catching up to do. But I think nowadays we're on the right track. I think our generation and the generations after us are really going to flourish because things are starting to click for us now. So I'm excited about what the future holds, but we got a ways to go.
Thank you, my brother. Mr. Willie Harrell, would you hit on that topic?
Yeah, man, that's same thing, man. It boils down to education. Education being withheld from the Black community. But now that information is out there, like I tell my kids, man, the information is out there for you to get. One of my oldest son, actually, he said to me the other day that they're not teaching. There's some other things that they need to add to high school in terms of financial literacy, and I totally agree to add to the high school curriculum. And that's just, but it's our job now that we know and that we've learned and we're learning rather, that we pass that information on, so they're not growing up with that misinformation. So it's about educating, man, educating in every aspect, whether it's stocks, whether it's real estate, whether it's just just simple day to day.
Mr. Max, would like to close that out.
I think I want to echo exactly what the other two gentlemen said as well. I think our generation now has recognized that we're now in the information age and we're moving out of the industrial age. So you're seeing a lot more people making money outside of their 9 to 5. They're figuring out ways to use the internet and find other tools to make income or to make side hustles and to leverage that information to make even more bigger business. So I think that us learning from the tech side as well, of learning how to code, how to create apps, I think that's a whole new dynamic that's going into the Black community that I'm excited to see how it turns out.
Awesome. Mr. Max, how would you like to throw into that, Max?
No, I mean, when it comes to financing and finances, and I can only speak from my experience from the Black community. From my experience, we've been so generationally held back from being allowed to participate in a lot of the wealth creation mechanisms that are in this country. That to Mike's point, and all of your points, frankly, in this generation and time, we have a lot of tools available to us. I won't go as far as saying the playing field is completely equal, but we have more moves in the chess game, so to speak. And I think where I want to start, or where I start for myself is, how does, in your opinion, you guys are kind of subject matter experts. What is the single biggest hindrance, I think, in your opinion, to Blacks, really jumping into, and just to get specific with it, financial markets? Because I know for me, I'm first generation American. I still got that old school, mentality raised by my Haitian parents. My dad, a box of money under the bed with a knife right next to it. You know what I mean? So that money's not gonna make anything for me. It's not gonna matriculate into anything. It actually is going to lose value over time because it's just sitting there. It's not even building interest. But whatever. I know I got my money that I saved, that I work hard for, and that's my failing. That's something I'm trying to break out of, is to get more comfortable delving, or even thinking about delving into financial markets, playing the stock market, investing, and I went to college. I took some of the classes. I remember, the minimal things that we learned from there: stock options, buying, selling, option buys. But if you don't use it, it just washes away like everything else you learned in college, right? Mm-hmm. So, my first question that I'm going to throw out there is, what do you think is for the budding investor, or for somebody who's just kind of first time thinking about getting into investing into markets? What are the best mechanisms for your beginning stock market player? So I'll leave that. It's a loaded question. It's got a lot of facets, but I wanted to get you guys' opinions on that question.
Sure, I'll start it. So I think the best mechanism, for beginning investors, you definitely want to get you one of these digital investing accounts. My first real experience with investing money on my own was about maybe 5 years ago. I was listening to the Breakfast Club, actually, and there's this financial guru lady on there. She comes on all the time, named Stacey Tisdale, and she started talking about acorns. If you're not familiar with that, it's it's an app. It's an investment app. It'll take your spare change. It'll invest that into the markets. It'll diversify. It'll buy pieces of stock for you, fractional shares, and it'll do all the managing and stuff for you. You can also set recurring deposits and stuff like that. So for someone who doesn't necessarily want to take the quote unquote risk of the stock market, and you want something that's still going to grow, but it's not as safe as say a savings account, but not as risky as like a stock brokerage account. I would recommend something like that, or even something like Stash, where they do something similar. They'll invest in stocks for you. You put down your interest, the industries and the sectors that you're interested in, and it'll invest in those stocks for you. I think that's probably one of the easiest things right off the bat, is to look for things like that where you can put your money away, money that you're not even missing, and snowball it from there.
I think that that would go in that route, and that's kind of how the route I started. But and I'm definitely not a pro at stocks or anything like that. But that starting out like that helps to relieve that fear factor. Absolutely. And I think that's one of the main issues as to why we don't invest like we could or should. Like you said, you leave it under the bed, you got the knife next to it, nobody gonna touch it, and if you try to touch it, I'm coming after you.
Right.
So we have to reach that level or reach that point, within ourselves, in our family situation, our family finance situation, where we're going to say, okay, I'm willing to take this and learn. I'm willing to take this amount and learn. Don't throw all your money into it because you don't know nothing about it. So let me start out in increments, and like the acorns and the stashes and things like that. Let me start out in increments. That helps relieve that fear factor.
Yeah, to echo the same thing, I think there's a couple different dynamics in that question. I think one big mindset that Black Americans have, or Black people have, is fear to ask for help, one, and fear to dive into something that they don't understand. I think me growing up Caribbean, I understand from my family's background, they don't really trust banks. They don't really trust stockbrokers. They don't really trust anybody with their money but themselves, where they'll rather go to their church and start a little money pool where they're exchanging money, but they're trying to save money at the same time. It's called a soul. You might have heard it before. Yeah, it's yeah. Right. You might have heard something like that. So they're more like I guess they respect that more because they can see it and they know who they're going to. But with a stock, they don't understand who their money going to and how does it come back. Right. So I think that's a big thing. I think it's a little bit of ego as well, where they don't want to ask for help of understanding what it is the stock market actually does and who gets that money, how that stock market actually makes money for them.
Yeah, and to add on there is just like, just hearing the conversation, and just so you guys know who's watching tonight, Mr. Max and Mike Clark do a beginner's class for stock. So if you have any questions, you see their handles right there, reach out to them, ask them questions, because tonight's discussion is making sure we educate the community. And the focus is, when we, all their points, it's basically doing your research, right? And making sure you understand that risk tolerance, and to Willie's point, not being scared and making sure you can ask those questions. I think making sure you have the opportunity to understand what a stock is, what a bond is, having the ability to monitor that investment and understand that it's not going to just happen overnight. There may be an opportunity that may happen overnight. I think Apple and Tesla stock just recently split. So you could talk a little bit more about that too, but it's making sure that we as a community understand that, because in the future, we want to build that generational wealth that Mike mentioned a little earlier, because as minorities, we have the ability to improve our economic positions very quickly if you take a strategy and execute on that strategy. And I think the things that we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to make sure that we have the opportunity to help make sure you take something away from tonight's discussion, watch it if you want to watch it again, but make sure you can actually have these conversations. So this is very important to us in the community. So great.
Yeah, and I know for me, I harken back to like watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off back in the 80s, and when they were in the stock market and they were downstairs in the whatever that middle area where everyone's got the blue vest on, buy, sell, they could trade in places, Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy, and that's what I picture as the stock market. And obviously, that was and that is still But kind of to your guys' point, you know, and I saw a lot of our guests mentioning some of the instruments that they use. Acorn, I think, was one. The other one was Stash. I think you guys had mentioned that one. So, you know, and I think you make a good point, all of you, and I definitely agree with as a people, as a culture. And once again, we're not monolithic as a Black culture, right? Because I grew up, you know, middle class, but you know, you have family that's lower. You got some folk that went to school with you. Family had 3 Rolls Royces and a Benz, and like, damn, man. So we're not just one picture, and it's not that all Black people and all people of color come from, you know, the inner city or that situation. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think there is an apprehension because for the grand majority of people of color, you know, it is the reality. You know, we tend to have to struggle more financially because of just historical factors out there and just the reality on the ground of how things are. So to take an amount of money and say, all right, I'm going to put this in Stash, or I'm going to put this in the NASDAQ, or I'm going to play with E-Trade. There is that apprehension there, right? That fear factor, because, you know, if I'm coming from a good situation and I got $2,000 that I can mess around with, or $10,000, you know, to me, you know, that $10,000 might be like spending $50, but to somebody else, that's like spending $50,000. So everybody's different. And I say all that to kind of segue into my question, which is, you know, on these instruments such as, you know, E-Trade, Stash, Acorn, etc., you know, and I remember learning about something called penny stocks when I was first, you know, being educated on finance and the stock market. And from my understanding, penny stocks are stocks that are essentially nickel and dime. They're not too expensive. They may not yield a lot. They may be a long-term wait on them, or, you know, you can buy a lot of them at a low price. And if something goes really well with that particular industry or company, that penny stock can become a dollar stock, and all of a sudden you're in a whole different ball game as an investor. So once again, back to you guys and John as well. Once again, probably all of you guys have more experience with the stock market than I do. What would be, and once again, this is a very subjective question, but what do you think is a good starting point, money-wise, capital investment-wise, you know, what I got to dish out for kind of touching that?
Before you answer that question, Mr. Duclos, can you answer Maria Rodriguez's question real quick?
Okay, so to give you a picture to understand it better, picture a slice of pizza or a pie of pizza. The pie of pizza is the stock. So say, for instance, you have an Apple, the company of Apple, right? And Apple's pizza is the pie. Now, a share of Apple stock is a slice of the pizza. Does that make sense, Maria? Now,
essentially a share and a stock are the same thing,
right? So whenever you see a price, when you see like Apple stock is at $300, you're paying $300 for one slice of that stock.
Yeah, right. Mr. Clark, go ahead and answer Max's question.
So to answer your question as far as what I recommend as far as like a beginning amount to start investing with, you know, like you said, Max, it's a very, you know, broad question because it varies. It really depends on your financial situation and what you have going on. A good thing that I try to tell people, particularly beginners, is invest what you're not going to miss. So if you're able to contribute $20 a week to a brokerage account, or $50 a week, whatever, $50 a month, whatever it is, however your budget is set up, whatever expenses you got to keep all that in mind. When you boil your expenses down and you get to that number of, okay, I can afford to put this amount of money into the stock market. I'm not going to miss it. I'm not going to be hungry. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. That's the amount you want to go with. Along those lines, don't ever feel like you have to start big, because you really don't. Like you can, you know, as Maxim mentioned, there are things called penny stocks, which I think the actual definition of that is any stock that's $5 or below. That's what's considered a penny stock. And you know, you don't have to throw down loads of cash all at once. the thing I recommend really doing is figuring out your budget, figuring out your expenses. Of course, you want to get your savings right first. You want to have your emergency fund, get into where it needs to be before you really consider investing heavily. But once you have all those ducks in a row, consider setting up some sort of weekly or monthly, what I call a drip into your brokerage account, or an automated transfer. That way you build up that capital over time. And when it's time to make a move in the stock market, you already got the money sitting there. You weren't even thinking about it. So it's hard to really quantify that. I'd say maybe for the average person, if I had to choose a number, start with $100. Me and Max, we tell all of our, everyone who comes to our stock market program, that's pretty much the number we agree on. We agree on. Start with $100. Buy yourself a few shares of penny stocks. See how that price fluctuation feels. See how it feels to lose a couple dollars. See how it feels to make a couple dollars. Then once you have that feeling, once you know how it feels, then you start to invest more and more money. But again, it's money that you're not going to miss. Don't miss a car payment because you're trying to play the stock market. Don't, really have to take into account your budget and your expenses.
I also want to
Mike and Max, some questions just so we can kind of pass out. For people that's interested in following your beginners class, how much is your normal class to learn about stock? The one that you guys are utilizing right now.
The one to learn about stocks, the beginner's class, is $95. So you can reach out to me or Mike Clark, and we will get you set up and get you situated with the class. I was going to say, to piggyback off Mike said, also understand that when you're trading a stock, even if for $1 or 5 cents or whatever it is, the amount of money that you make in the beginning doesn't really matter. It's the percentage change. Because if you make a 10% gain on the dollar, if that same thing you did on $100 or $1,000 or $10,000 is the same percentage change, you would gain that same amount of percentage. Okay, so if you lose a percentage, then it'll be the same thing on $100, $1,000, or $10,000. So what you want to focus on is what you're doing to capture a percentage.
Okay, that's awesome. Great information. Great information. So we got our third host tonight joining us tonight, Mr. Avalanche in the house. Welcome to the party, my brother. You on mute.
All right, what's going on, brethren? All right.
What's up?
Don't let me interrupt. Just keep it flowing.
Okay, so Willie, I'm going to throw this question to you. And I appreciate Max, everybody, both Maxes, Mike, Willie, for joining this discussion tonight. Willie, I'm going to throw it to you. One of the things about, should I start a business? What benefits can that help you, especially when you're talking about a small business? So I know you have passion in this area, so please share some knowledge to the folks on the line tonight.
You mentioned the word passion. I mean, what is your passion? If your passion is not your day-to-day 9 to 5, and you have something, a niche or a product or a service that you feel is that people can benefit from and that you can make a living off of, why not start your business? You don't have to start a business at $100 million in revenue, but you can start a home-based business. And some of the benefits of a home-based business is some of the tax benefits are, your expenses. If you have an office that's in your home, some of those expenses relating to your office in your home can be used on your tax return. So there's a mound of opportunity and legal ways to tax plan and things like that with your small business. So if you have that and you want to start small, start it. It doesn't cost a whole lot of money to start a business. People, some people, they hear the word start a business, or they hear the phrase start a business, and they feel like they have to be a Fortune 500 company right off the top. And it doesn't really happen that way. So take your time, understand what you want to do, do some research, look out there and see, what kind of competition you would have. If you provide a service, an accounting or a finance service or a small business bookkeeping service, that's going to be universal. So, the clientele will always be there. But, if you have something that, say you want to, sell a product, a soap or a T-shirt line or whatever, clothing line, you need to look and know what your competition is going to be like and make a smart move, a smart business move, to start off. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And there's just so many tax advantages to having a small business, even if it's a daycare. If the daycare starts out in your home, I mean, there's mounds of tax benefits for that.
And just one thing that I'll add from this, when it comes to that, and you're thinking about your business, think about Google, get online, Google business model canvas. It helps you identify key things about your opportunity. What is your value proposition? What are some of the partners or activities or resources that's involved with your business? What are the relationships regarding customers, things in the customer segments you're trying to focus on, with the area of the channels that you want to connect to, and your cost structure and your revenue stream? All four key areas is infrastructure, your offering, your customers, and your finances. These are the things that allows you to get a visual view. I said sometimes it makes things a little easier when you have that visual format, and that visual component allows you to help make that pitch, helps you describe that business, look at the value, and then also have that emphasis on your finance. And the things that we're talking about tonight, this is the type of thing that we need to embed into our community to make sure that we're leveraging, because there's ideas and there's excellent brainstorming opportunities for that. Because Dimitri Avalanche that just joined, he started his business not too long ago, has multiple patents out there. So you know how you have your phone is called the Grab and Fly. It has the ability for you to have that little stand with your phone and utilize it on the iPads and such. And I probably didn't give enough justice, but check it out, grabandfly.com. But you have to understand that there are opportunities out there. Everybody's thinking about something, and everybody needs to understand that to help better yourself, you have to, you can't work for somebody. If you want to be a millionaire, you ain't gonna be working for somebody. So,
and funding, and there's tremendous. There are a good deal amount of funding opportunities out there. So you have grants, you have small business loans, your local bank, who you bank with personally. If you want to, have a discussion, learn, understand what's needed, have the discussion, get the education you need to find out, okay, what do I need to have in place to get a small business loan, and have a plan on how you're going to use that money. Don't just take these people's money and go spend it on a Lamborghini. So you have to know what you want to do, put the plan out there, like John was saying, have it visually so you can see what you want to do and how you're going to execute the plan.
And I want to piggyback off of what you just said, because that's something that's kind of out in the atmosphere right now. I'm sure you've all have heard about it. I know I have. Everybody and their mama about to get a $10,000 payday loan to start a business. You don't got to even start a business. Government gonna give you $10,000. Anything they give it for free, I don't like touching it, because I'm just kind of old school like that. 40 acres and a mule, you can keep it. The 40 acres are toxic. The mule has cancer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even. That's my opinion.
No, easy money.
I'm not making light on cancer to anybody that not making any kind of joke, but you know what I'm saying. So my thing is, because you had just mentioned that there's a lot of vehicles, avenues, resources out there for startup capital, such as these, business investment loans. The one I'm speaking of, I forget the name of it. One of you probably know better than me. The one that all your cousins told you about. You got to call up and get it.
Interested in it? I don't mean to cut you off, but interestingly enough, a lot of folks that took that small business loan or grant without having an established business, what they don't realize from a banking standpoint, a bank is going to stop those funds, freeze those funds. If they can't prove that they have, I was just on a conversation with an old coworker of mine that works for a financial institution, and they're freezing the money. So if you're not proving that you actually have a business, don't go out there and just be dumb enough to do it, because they're going to send the money back to them. Really, people, I mean, everybody's trying to come up and things like that, and you think it's free money. It's not free money, and you can't go in there and say, I'm going to go to Bayside and spend up all of this money. If you don't have a business established and you can't prove that this is funding a business, they have the money going into a personal account instead of a business account. Banks are not stupid. There's a whole Bank Secrecy Act and all of that that prevents this kind of fraud. So if you did do it, you might want to send it back yourself.
Absolutely. There's no such thing as free money, man. You got to work for it. Either work hard or work clever, but you got to work for it.
I have a question for Mr. Mike Clark. What current tactics tactics out there inspire you? Who do you like following? Who inspires you to do better in your financial space and stuff like that? What mentors are you looking at? What can you pass to the people to kind of read up on, or people to read up on?
Sure. Not too many individuals, I'd say, more so just I guess outlets. So as was mentioned earlier, I'm a software consultant. All my work is remote, and that affords me a lot of freedom and availability to do other things, right? So while I'm working pretty much every day, I'm listening to CNBC in the background. I turn on CNBC at 8:30 a.m., 9 a.m. I get to work, handle what I got to do, for my job. And in the background, I'm just soaking up all of these conversations about what's going on in the market. What company is doing what, who's going out of business, who's acquiring who, and just listening to these different talking heads on that platform and just trying to just figure out how can I be that knowledgeable? Where are they getting this information from? How can I, regurgitate this information just like how they're doing it? And so when I hear that, and even conversations like this, speaking with other like-minded people, that's really what motivates me. So that because I feel like I have a responsibility. Max Dukes as well. We have our clients who depend on us to be knowledgeable about the stock market. So that's really another driving factor for me is I want to know what I'm talking about, right? So I'm constantly soaking up information, reading up on different things. Yahoo Finance. I use Robinhood as my brokerage account, and they do a good job of curating news articles based on the different stocks that I'm watching. So that's really the tactic I go for. It's just to try to be as knowledgeable as possible, so that I can disseminate that information to other people and help them out.
Okay. Dimitri, who inspires you? What tactics inspire you from your business and your small business?
To be honest with you, man, I just look around and see that what has value around me, and I try to capitalize off that. Believe it or not, these apps like OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace, people are sleeping on these places, man. They literally create a website, a store for you, and they don't take no commission. If you want to use their ad platform, you can, but I make a decent amount of money that I use to basically put into the stock market from items that you would look around the house and think, man, when am I going to wait for Buck Day to throw that out? I've literally made money off what people have thrown out as trash, believe it or not. There was a dog kennel. I was driving. I saw someone threw out a dog kennel. I stopped. I picked it up, put it in my trunk. 2 weeks later, I sold it for $40. I mean, that's and it's not like that's my job, but I'm telling you, this is $40 that I can now buy a few stocks with, some penny stocks, and hopefully later they may do something. They may not, but it didn't come out of my money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
As far as mentors, man, I don't have any. To help me with money, The Richest Man of Babylon is a book I suggest people go read. The Richest Man of Babylon is an amazing book. It taught me the difference between savings for a rainy day and saving for investment. I never really put the two. I never separated them. I thought when I saved money, it was just save, and when I needed to this, I do investment. If I needed for a rainy day, I dip it in, and that's not really how the wise do it. The wise have money saved for investment and investment alone, and they have money saved for a rainy day. And people think, well, how do you do that? Listen. That book breaks it down for you, man. It's very simple. Take 10% of whatever every dollar, take 10 cents, put it in the investment pile. That's simple. 10 cents on every dollar. It's not a lot. A matter of fact, you're going to want to put 20 cents. You're going to start wanting to put 30 cents. That's what's going to happen because you're like 10 cents is going to take me forever to do it. But believe it or not, that 10 cents adds up. And I've never been able to save as much money as I have just after reading that book. So get up on your books, man. Read up. You can get mentors. They work. You know what I'm saying? I haven't really looked up in any particular mentors. I can't think of any off the head. But The Richest Man of Babylon is a great start for anyone who wants to know how to build wealth from the very basic level, which is saving money and knowing that money is to be used to make more money, and that's it. And it breaks down as far as I'm not going to break the whole book down for you, but I will say that it explains to you that smart investment. Know what you're investing in. Don't wait for it. Like right now, believe me, because of all the troubles going on in the economy, people have all types of stuff that tell you they can make money in a couple of days. Listen, if they're not a master at what they're doing, don't mess with them. If they can't break it down on a master level, do not put that money in there. Your money is precious, and I suggest that you invest very frugally and properly when you deal with it. And that's basically my advice on that.
I will say this. So we're going to be talking about mentorships and coaching. I have some amazing people coming down the line in a couple of weeks. It's going to be very good conversations. Some mentors, people in the industry, it's good, and people that's going to surprise you. So I have a very, very good network. So so from that perspective, so I'm gonna ask this question, and I had it stored up here. How effective, and Max, I'm going to push it to you, Duclos. How effective are financial advisors for the average person?
I've seen them work wonders for certain people, and I've seen them lead some people astray. I think it depends on the person, whoever the average person is. I think it depends on them. Where if they're going to apply what the financial advisor is telling them, and then they're going to be disciplined about the regimen that they put them on, they're still going to be successful, right? It's just like a trainer in the gym. If you work out, but you're not eating right when you get home, what you're doing in the gym is not going to show. So I guess it depends on the person that's actually taking the advice from the financial advisor. Because I could tell you this also, me and Mike have taught hundreds of people about the stock market. Not all of them are being successful, but there's a lot of them that are. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on the person.
Okay, that's good.
The personal responsibility is still there.
Right.
Willie, when it comes to so from a small business perspective, what are you and Dimitri can actually answer the question. What are some of the most out of the box businesses that you've seen in the last, say, 30 days that you would never expect there would be a business, somebody making money? What's something that you've seen out there?
Oh, out of the box? Mask.
Yeah.
Mask have become a $20 million business in months. You know what I mean? And no knock on everybody that's doing them. I have a few people in our neighborhood that's, sewing and put together masks, and you got so many online vendors. I mean, that to me, who would have thought? Honestly, I mean.
Let me just jump in on that. Speaking of the whole mask thing and kind of tying that back to investing in the stock market, Etsy stock has been on a tear for months. And one of the biggest driving factors of that is because of all these vendors creating masks and selling them on the Etsy platform. So there you go. So he's right. Like that, masks in and of itself. Who would have thought a year ago people would be making money off masks? It's crazy.
I'll say the last 6-7 months started playing around with the stock market. I lose that team playing around loosely, but it's amazing to me because it was a world that I never even thought about jumping in. I really thought it was some white collar type of thing, Wall Street in a suit, and it's not that at all. It's really about being informed. I'm gonna give an example of something that blew my mind and changed my mind about how the stock market works. So I'll say about 2 weeks ago, I'm watching a news conference, and President Trump comes out on the podium, starts talking about Kodak, the photography company. And he starts talking about how they're transitioning into a pharmaceutical company, and they're going to start making pharmaceutical drugs, right? So I jumped on my Ameritrade real quick. Boom, opened it up. search Kodak Boom, and I'm watching as this man is speaking. This stock it started at 8, it went to 850, 875. Yeah, before he stopped talking, it was at $10. The next day, it was at 60. Okay, and it started at 8. Okay, now the following day it dropped back down to 40. I think somewhere now it's between 18 and 20. But what I'm trying to say is, just off that one conference, if you were paying attention, you could have forget about the type of money you could have made. And the people who did go ahead and throw money on that, they ate lovely that in one day. So this happens every day. You just got to look around and search and see what's going on, what news is breaking, what this or what CEO did this, what doing that, what technology did they buy, who merged with who, and just throwing some money in for one day, because it's going to correct itself, right? It's going to spike up and then it's going to correct itself. So you got to get in there when it's spiking up, boom, sell, boom. And when it's coming down, you level out. But, and like I said, man, I'd suggest everybody opens up these platforms that have making the everyday trading open to the everyday individual, like Robinhood, Ameritrade, and some of the other ones. They really, look, guys, people go out, we spend money on all types of stuff, from gear, clothes, fun, you name it. It's easy to, you could blow $100, $200, and on a lower end, $50 a weekend, just on nothing. And that money can all be put in the stocks that's gonna turn around and grow for you. So I suggest people get more into investing on these simple platforms than spending their money on entertainment all day, every day.
So I'm gonna take. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say to Mike's point earlier, where he has it in the background. He has that noise, that constant noise, talking and feeding his brain, because his brain is still working, even though he's concentrating on what he's doing for work. Your brain is still working and absorbing whatever you're hearing in the background. So that constant feeding, man, is you're bound to get some knowledge, some understanding from it.
So we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna take a quick break because we're gonna roast somebody. So if you got an opportunity to see this video that I'm about to play, this is who we're going to hit. And Max, I'm going to pass it to you, brother. Go ahead.
He remains nameless. Let's watch this video.
You're a bunch of idiots wearing masks. You know it's not real. Look at you fools. You got a doily on your face. Hard. You look like you got it off your mom's countertop. You look like an idiot. You're the child. Trying to make you wear a mask. Shut up. You're a dork. Look at you, you giant dork. What are you going to do? Come outside. Come outside.
Son had to take him out.
Okay. I don't know if you guys just caught that audio. I think it was at second 38. It was right when the son was picking up and taking him out. The son loves his father so much, gave him a bit of an extra squeeze there and created some flatulence, a little fart to say goodbye. We're going to roast our friend over in Tucson, Arizona today. Listen, I'm not a doctor. Does every mask work? I don't know. Some people wearing it on top of their forehead. Some people, they got a socket over their face. So I get it. Maybe not all masks are created equal. But, I'm not a doctor. And even though I might enjoy a conspiracy theory, at the end of the day, I don't know. CDC says, you should wear a fat mask, and Fauci said it. And, hey, if all the rest of the planet who isn't burning in COVID like us right now is wearing fucking masks, maybe just wear a mask when you go in public. Take the shit off when you walk out the door. You don't have to wear it in your car because it's your own stanky breath full of COVID that you're going to give yourself. Take it off in the car. I hear people say don't touch your eye. You already picked your nose and touch your eye. You'll be all right. But we're going to roast this guy because really, I can go into white privilege. I can go into, shit don't stink. I'm going to do what I want mentality. But I just find it funny, almost the dramatic irony, the reverse poetry, if you will. This guy was acting like a child in a supermarket, and his children had to pick him up and take him out. What he was doing probably to them, maybe not. Maybe they had their heads together, and at 5, they weren't farting in supermarkets and spreading COVID out there. I don't know. But needless to say, people, can we just act normal with each other? Like, even if you can't stand what's going on, just shut up. Just
Shut
pay
up.
for your snacks and get out. And
Nobody's business. Everyone wants to get to and listen. Wear a
your
mask.
opinion doesn't matter. Everyone has them. How they say opinions are like buttholes. Everyone has them and they stink. Right? So it's like, just, relax. No one gives a fuck that you're so proud that you got 10 AR-15s in the back that don't tread on me, my freedom. This is my yeah, you know what? It's your freedom to not wear a mask and be an idiot, I guess. But
No, but Max, truth be told, right? If you go into how many times have you gone to an establishment and they tell you, well, obviously most of us have shirts and shoes on, but you'll see the sign. You got to wear a shirt. You got to wear shoes.
Exactly.
Nobody says, "Oh, you're treading on my right sock." What do you mean?
Exactly.
And look, if you're leaving your house and you're driving down the street or walking down the street, open air, and you're getting pulled over, and they're telling you have to wear a mask, you're going to jail. That's something different. I'll jump on your side on that one. But if you're walking into someone else's place of business or home or residence or any of the above, and they tell you you have to have shoes on, then you have to have shoes on. They tell you have to put on a shirt, you have to put on a shirt. If they tell you in the club you have to have a dress code, you have to have a dress code. In this case, if they tell you have to wear a mask, then you have to wear a mask. I mean, it's so ignorant to me. Put on the damn mask or go shop somewhere else. And that's it.
Exactly.
If you don't like it, go shop
Snake Eye.
Send your neighbor in with a mask. Pay him to go in with your freedom money to go do your use the Instacart. How about that?
Exactly. Order your groceries.
It's actually nice. You feel kind of like a fancy rich guy when you use it. John, do me a favor. Let's play that video back again, and I want you to go back to the second where the son grabs you walking out, because I need all of our viewers to hear. That's what we call instant karma. Even your ass told you to shut the fuck up. But let's go ahead and play that just one time. I just want to hear Cody have a moment with his colon.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Hold on.
Man.
Y'all are clowning.
Hold on. I just got it back. I have to find that joint. Hold on.
Right before the second
man. It's simple.
I'm gonna watch the whole thing again. It's so good.
People won't learn. You're a bunch of idiots wearing masks. You know it's not real. You look like you got it off your mom's countertop. You look like an idiot. You're a child. Trying to make you wear a mask. Shut up, you're a dork. Look at you, you giant dork.
Here we go.
Come outside. Come outside.
Dad, come on.
I'll beat that mask off your face like a
There it was.
Bye. I think when he picked them up, he squeezed it out of him.
That's awesome.
Man.
That was our little mid break. We roast everybody. We kicked off your roasted last week. We talked about that, and we move on to this for this week. It's awesome that we just kind of bring that to the table because it brings us some type of levity to what we're talking about and things and everything that's going on right now. So I'm gonna throw it back. So Max Duclos, if you had opportunity to send somebody, and we'll go around the horn, if you had something to send somebody home with tonight with some interests and tips, what would you send somebody home with when they're watching fans tonight? What would you send them home with?
Don't be scared. Go for it. Definitely take a risk. Either one or two things are going to happen. You're going to learn from it, or you're going to gain. You're going to win. So definitely go out there, take a risk, and believe in yourself.
Mr. Clark, what would you like to send a message to the folks that are watching tonight?
Sure. I just say, I actually saw a comment pop up from Jordan saying, focus on the long game. And that's really what it is. In pretty much any investment, you're not going to get rich overnight. The only people who get rich overnight are people who are already rich. So it's not going to happen. You got to plant a seed. You got to water it. and then you reap the harvest later. So I would say don't expect your life to change overnight, but what you can change overnight is your mentality and how you look at your money and what you choose to do with it. So
Awesome.
I'll leave it at that.
Awesome. And we're not done yet. So Willie, just what would you like to leave our watchers tonight with?
Self-assess, man. See, whether it's starting a business or investing in stocks, self-assess. Know what kind of risk that you want to take. Know what kind of business you want to start. Take a look at yourself. Take a look at your, think about it mentality in your mind. Think about it, how you want to live the rest of your life, or at least the next 5 years. Just self-assess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we have these conversations and we have these topics. This is week 11. We've been doing this, and it's been a pleasure because we've gotten a lot of feedback, topics that pop up. And the one thing that I can sit there and say is like, this to me, this is not just generational wealth. This is wealth of knowledge that we're passing. And I think there's a lot of things that people are like, to Max's point earlier, like sometimes people are scared and don't want to ask the question. And we were talking about, me and Willie were talking about this behind the stage, backstage, is that, we have to do this stuff together. You see all these other communities are very tight and they share their information. They invest in each other. We need to start doing that a lot more. And I think that's where a lot of the things that have triggered off from the death of George Floyd and then some, that, we've starting to see organizations change. We're starting to see organizations really start paying attention to diversity. We're starting to see some things that we need to look at ourselves and say, you know what? And Dimitri's point was, the black dollar was like $3 trillion or something like that. That's some amazing number that if you invest into yourself and into your community, how that would relate. And I think the things that we have to open up the door. We have to ask for help. You understand tonight, you got Max and you got Mike that have their company and they're doing beginner training of how to, get involved with the stock market. It's things like that. It's things asking the question because it's going to make you that much better. I think Charles Mattel's put on there, like he got an opportunity to go through the class and now he's trading on with cryptocurrency. That's a big step. And I think you need to understand, take the opportunity to really get involved with it, read about it, ask the questions. The network is strong. If you have any questions or things that we talked about tonight that you want to learn more about, you got everybody's screen, IG name, Twitter handle that you can just reach out to or ask a question to Coffee for Your Soul, and we will get them that we will get your question answered. I think one of the things as we grow here, we want to make sure that we're taking into topics that people are interested in. We're not going to talk about the foolishness. You will have foolishness for a couple minutes when we go through, you're roasted, but honestly, we have a lot more things to do and grow within our community and make it stronger. And to have this journey with my brothers, Abby and Max, and then bring my extended family, my other brothers in my family, that to have these discussions, and sisters that are out there to have these discussions is making us that much stronger. Because from topics of mental health to what we're talking about today, we're just getting better. We're building that foundation. And to see this happen and to see the growth that we've had, I thank everybody for following and sharing their topics of discussion and their opinions, because that's exactly what it is. It's like we're sharing things that how we feel, but like Mike mentioned earlier, it's like-minded people that are thinking about opportunities for future, right? That's where we have to be at. So
let's make this money, black people.
There was a comment. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, wealth takes time. It takes time, guys. It takes time. It takes time. Sometimes it takes generations to build serious wealth. So be patient. Be patient. And don't look for get money quick schemes. Those don't last. I think there's always an exception to the rule, but it takes time.
Yeah. Yep.
There was a comment earlier about your circle, going back to what you were saying, John, and what we talked about earlier. Don't be afraid. I think Greg made the comment. Don't be afraid to, reach out to your circle about investing in your business. I mean, you got some people that's looking to make a few dollars, and believe in you, and you're gonna handle their money with care. Reach out to your circle. You never know, what kind of investment your circle can make in your business. And that's not only monetarily. I mean, that's even just knowledge based. So don't be afraid to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I came a little late to the show, but did we touch on the importance of building credit? Did we get into that?
We can finish the last couple minutes because it's a topic of discussion. Because go ahead and hit it.
No, obviously, credit is one of the most important things that you can have in a small business, right? So you're not spending your own capital, of course, using it wisely. But if you know about small business or big business, everybody works on credit, right? They get their supplies on credit. Restaurants get equipment on credit. It's credit that's actually is a big part of our system, the capitalist system. So let me ask you guys a question, right? I read about somewhere if you want to build your credit, and it's possible. Obviously, you need some capital to do that, but I believe the minimum amount to do it is $5,000. I was told somewhere that you could go ahead and if you're trying to build your credit, you can go ahead and go get a secured loan for $5,000. Basically, you give the bank $5,000 cash. They give you $5,000 credit line, and now you're building your credit. And it looks like, wow, this guy just borrowed $5,000 and he's handling it properly. You can go ahead and turn around. I'm not actually asking you if this is wise. Then take that $5,000, cash it out, and go do it again. So now you have $10,000 on credit. Obviously, not to blow, not to be a fool with. You're doing this to build your credit history. What do you guys know about that? And does that work?
It works as long as you have, you got the revenue to pay it back. I mean, yeah, you're going to give them $5,000 and they're going to give you the secured card, but you're still going to be making payments, so to speak. So you got to be mindful of how am I going to use this money? Am I going to effectively use this money? And how is that money, that $5,000 is going to turn around and give me revenue?
Right.
Where am I going to get this money from? Where am I going to earn this money from? Have a plan. Again, have it thought out, have a plan. And using other people's money is great. But if you don't use it properly, which I can speak to mistakes that I've made. So, don't get out there and just get it just to get it. Have your plan, use it wisely, and make sure it's going to make you 10,000.
What's really good on my credit is that first credit card that I signed up at UCF at the student union. My Discover credit card.
That illegal credit card?
I have that credit card.
That should be illegal.
I have that credit card still. I'm like, man, I'll use that here and there, but man, I tell you that one always gives me good points on that one.
Don't get me started on that illegal mess. I'm gonna give you $5,000 and you don't have no kind of income to shit. Predatory lending is what that is.
Exactly.
No, but Max, Mike, and Willie, I know I can speak for Dimitri and Max that we appreciate you guys joining us on this panel. It's been a pleasure. I love you guys. You guys are some smart brothers. I look at you guys and just grow and do what you're doing. I'm very proud of every one of y'all, and I think that this is what we're trying to do and get better and better and better. So when we sit there and do that, we can buy some stuff and it's just get in that game and do what we can do long game, because I see it. I see what you guys are doing. I see what other people are doing. It's a beautiful thing to watch when it's people that you've seen grow. And I remember yelling at Max, he'll get me go. We were setting up on UCF campus. Hey man, go take this over there, man. Bossing down a young guy, but now look, he's shining in New York. I see Mike shining in Orlando. And Willie, you doing the same thing in Orlando, and Dimitri and Max. It's like it's a beautiful thing to watch, to have all this energy, and we have to put it in the right direction. So it's funny. It's funny how we're at right now. But before we go, if you guys can just mention, kind of shout out, say coffee for your soul.
Coffee for your soul.
Coffee for your soul. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having me. Have a good night, everybody. To next week. Right. Episode. Before we go, we have episode 12, which is going to be why to get your concealed weapon license. That's going to be next week's topic.
I'll definitely be here for it.
Well, you in New York, you be careful. And then
Yeah, you can't
episode
have that up
13
here.
is Women Within Amplified. That's going to talk about the imposter syndrome and things like that, of women having the power to be strengthened and have that voice. So it's going to be a very good conversation. I have some amazing guests coming the next 2 weeks. It's going to be a very good topic. So follow back episode 12 and 13 and keep on following Coffee for Your Soul. So thank you very much and have a good night.
Good
All
night.
right, fellas.
Good night.
Take it easy.